Well, welcome to Christopher Strauli, and obviously you're a familiar face on TV, and people remember you from such shows as Raffles, Only When I Laugh, and of course recently the Victoria Wood Show. So when did you get the eureka moment that you wanted to be an actor, Christopher?
Um, and in my early teens,
Mhm.
we'd just moved out of Felixstowe, and the local cinema put on three Shakespeares in the week, all of Lawrence, Henry V, Richard III, and Hamlet. And I saw all three, and that was it. Sir Lawrence was my hero.
Mm.
Having said that, I played Herod in a school play when I was 6 or 7, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. But then it was Sir Lawrence who cemented it for me.
Right. But when was the actual moment that you wanted to be an actor? Where was it in your teens or?
No, I think from seeing that's when I sort of seeing Olivier. That's when I panned it out. And I remember one time after the English lesson, standing there but beside the teacher when all the other kids had gone out at the end of the day, and saying, "Please, sir, can I have a part in the school play?" They were doing
Mm.
As You Like, right? And indeed, I walked on with a spear or whatever I needed, and enjoyed that so much that the next year I played Algy in Importance of Being Earnest, and the
Mhm.
year after I played Marlowe in She Stoops to Conquer. So I'd started.
Right, okay. Well, you originally went to teacher training college, didn't you? Did you have any sort of leanings in that direction?
No, not really. My parents, my dear parents, wanted to encourage me to be an actor, but they said it's such a precarious living, you need to have another string to your bow.
Yeah.
So they said, go to teacher training college, get that, and then we'll support you all we can. And
Yeah.
indeed they did. So I had 3 years at teacher training college, trained to teach maths and science, which was fine because I got a pretty Catholic education. I furthered my own interest in the arts. I was in Isleworth and went up to London every week to see plays in the West End, which was tremendous. But then after those 3 years, I went straight to RADA. So I was a student for 5.5 years. And that's how it happened. So I never had to teach, but it was a second string to the bow.
Right, okay. What did you learn at RADA?
Say that again.
Sorry, what did you learn at RADA that helped you to be an actor? I mean, I know it's an acting college.
Well, the whole environment is just putting you through. You have voice training, you have learning how to stage fight, you have movement classes,
Yeah.
the whole lot, the whole gamut. And then in the last 2 terms, you're like being in a rep company because you're doing several plays in RADA's theatre, the Vanbrugh, which is
Hmm.
lovely theatre, and that's sort of a place for agents to come and see you and see if they want you. So it's a pretty comprehensive 2.5 year course it was then, I think. I don't know if it's still 2.5, maybe 3 years now.
Yeah. Well, you had a very good grounding, didn't you? Because you became an assistant stage manager at the Old Vic in Bristol after that.
I did, yes. I started down there just after leaving. We left RADA at Christmas. That's why it was 2.5 years in those days. It was strange. And I started literally on the same day as Jeremy Irons, Tim Pickett-Smith, and Simon Cadell. And
Hmm.
all four of us were ASMs, as we were called, which meant that we made the tea. We sat on the book to help people learn their lines. We helped to build the set. We made the props. We put the set up the night before the new show and took down the old set. Did everything in the theatre, which was a wonderful grounding because you
Hmm.
got to understand what it was made of and what everybody had to do. And I was earning the princely sum of 9 guineas a week, which is
Right.
9.45 pence, which was difficult to live on, but it was fun.
Hmm. Well, your big break was into the TV show Raffles, wasn't it? So how did that come up?
Several months had been talking about it. He seemed to have get the lowdown on it and knew that I was right for Bunny.
Yeah.
I naive and stupid, and so he kept saying, "You got this to go for," and I went up and met them all, and indeed they seemed to think that he was right, and I got the part, and we made a pilot first of all, which went down very well. And then after that, they decided to go for the series. They made one series, 13 episodes, which was the best part of a year of my life, which was a very happy time.
Hmm. What do you think the big differences between acting on stage and on TV?
Um, I'll go back on, I'll come back to that. But what was wonderful, why we had the best television drama in the world, because all of us who started off in rep had the experience in rep, whereas where you do 8 shows a week and you got there doing it and you say, oh, that didn't work. What can we do tomorrow night? Oh, no, that didn't work out. Then on Thursday we're doing it. Like, we found the way to make things work.
Yeah.
So that we got our chances on television. A lot of people at my sort of age, we knew what to do with the television. And the main difference with television is that you don't have a live audience, and if all goes wrong, you say, let's start that bit again. You can't do it in the theatre. Well, I have been known to do it, but it doesn't go down terribly well. But somebody like Damathini Seiler or someone said, doing a television is like rehearsing for 3 weeks to be out of work, because you get there, you do it, and then that's it. What's nice about a theatre show is, if it doesn't go on too long, is you've got the experience of building it and enjoying what happens nightly and the way things change. We hope to get it right the once. In those days, of course, we used to rehearse, which was lovely. We would have 2 or 3 weeks rehearsing in the Acton Hilton, is what we called it. This wonderful building, 7 stories of 3 huge rehearsal rooms there, and a cafe on the top. It was happy days. But sadly, there's no chance of that now. You don't get to rehearse. And for me, that's sad, because the art of being an actor is the joy in rehearsing and getting things right. Yeah. And now, sadly, turn up with the script, you say your lines, and you think, oh, you're finished, thank you. And it's not what I went in the business to do.
Yeah. How long would...
where you are in charge is the short answer.
How long would it take to film each episode, roughly?
Of Raffles?
Yeah, Raffles.
Raffles, we were doing it sort of on a 2 or 3 weekly turnaround, I think, 2.5 weeks, something like that. Only When I Laugh was that was every week. That was a weekly thing, and that was crazy. Yeah. The pressure of that, we'll probably talk about that later on. You probably ask me about that, but it's a very different business, actually doing that in front of an audience as well, which is, in theory, mixes live theatre and television. But the problem is, when you're doing it, that the audience of 400 people can change your timing in order to what you would want to show when you've got 19 million people watching it a week after you've recorded it. So it's a different ballgame. And marrying the two is the hardest part.
Well, you had a really good screen chemistry with Anthony Valentine, didn't you, as well?
Indeed, yes. Dear man. Loved him. Yes, he was very kind to me. He didn't have to be. But we lived in each other's pockets for the 9-10 months we were filming it. But right from the start, he was very kind. He had his own caravan on site, obviously, but every day he said, "No, come into my caravan, so we have lunch together." And because I didn't have a caravan, they didn't even give me a toilet. But no, he was a delight to work with, and we got on famously.
Well, the next job you did was for the BBC Shakespeare series.
Oh yes, yeah, did a couple of those. Measure for Measure and Romeo and Juliet. Yeah. Sorry.
I was going to say, is it one of those? Do all actors enjoy playing Shakespeare? Did you enjoy playing Shakespeare?
I enjoyed it immensely. Indeed, when I was at RADA, I was thinking, all I'm going to do is be a Shakespeare actor. I don't want to know anything else, which was naive and stupid of me. But that was my big love. It was Olivier and Shakespeare. I used to just learn Shakespearean speeches when I was in my teenage years, just for the fun of learning them and performing them to no one, but to actually do them and get my head around them. I found particularly exciting. And the interesting thing now is that occasionally a line of a Shakespeare speech will come into my head, and I find that I know it all still. And that's, 50, 60 years ago. Yeah. And it's so well written and so well constructed that it is still there. I can keep going with Shakespearean speeches and bore everybody to death forever, because they are still there. Like other things that I've done would be lost the day after I performed them. But there is something magical about Shakespeare, if you like it. Not all actors do, no. But for me, he still has a great power, and I still love everything he's done.
Yeah. Obviously, Only When I Laugh was next. So that was a massive series, wasn't it? Like you said, it was it 19 million people watched that every.
90, yeah, third of the stage. When you walk down the street the morning after, you know, 1 in 3 people you met would have seen you the night before, and that had its disadvantages. I used to walk down the street looking at the street, because if I met people's eyes, they'd suddenly say, I know you. Do you teach my daughter the guitar, or that sort of thing would go on, and it got so silly that I thought, I don't want to see people, which was a shame, but it was very successful. We got I think we got to #1 spot in all 4 series of it. We made 29 episodes, and it was great fun. It was lovely to get up in the morning, go to work, and get back into bed again for a start.
It's quite a difficult character to play, I would imagine, because it's quite difficult to do that sort of, you're a grown man, but you're playing someone that's quite a sort of mummy's boy as well. Was it an hard balance to do to make it believable?
In my early years, was pretty naive anyway, and so I remembered what it was like to be like that, and so I found it fairly easy to play. The scripts were so good that they'd done all the work for us, really. They knew our characters very well, and wrote them very well for us to be able to portray them very well.
What was it like working with Peter Bowles and James Bolan?
Had its moments, but no, to be honest, we got on very well. It was good. We were thrown together a lot. And Jimmy Bolan is someone to whom I have the hugest respect. He goes home, he learns his lines, he comes in and he does them. It's great. Peter could always be a bit sort of tense, bless him. I remember one day he said to me, "Christopher, if you say your line to me like that, I can't say my line." And I said, "Well, it's going to be an awfully short show then, isn't it, Peter?" No, he was lovely. And they were very happy days. We did them. There were 7 each time, and it was. And I say we'd start. There was one, I think the second or third series, when I was actually in the West End at the same time doing Season's Greetings, Alan Ayckbourn play, which ran for 6 months. So they had to release me so that my understudy was on Friday nights, because on the Sunday we'd start rehearsing the next episode, and then we'd rehearse Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and had a run through on the Thursday. I'd do the show on Thursday night in the theatre, go up overnight after that to Leeds, which is where we recorded at Yorkshire Television. Spent the whole day in the studio on Friday, getting it ready, having the audience come in, record it with the audience in a 2-hour slot on Friday evening, then get on a sleeper train. Jimmy Bolan and I, he was doing something else too, chased down to London, did 2 shows on the Saturday, and then started the next episode on the Sunday. So that was quite a hard 7 weeks, I have to say. But the quick turnaround and learning the lines and getting them in, and then getting it all recorded in 2 hours, when sometimes you could get technical problems, you could get camera problems, you could get us forgetting our lines, you could get lots of different things, and sometimes quite close to the wire.
Where did you rehearse? Was it actually on the sets, or was it somewhere else?
No, we rehearsed in London at Salgrove Club, a boys' club in West London somewhere, near Chiswick. And then we chased up, and as I say, we had the whole day in the studio in Leeds, just on the day, on the Friday. The studio would have been used for something else, but they'd have built that set, our sets, on Friday, and that was the whole day there. And then they'd taken it down on Saturday. They'd been doing other things, and indeed we were doing other things too.
Right, okay. Tell us about the teddy bear, because didn't that change every series?
The what, sorry?
The teddy bear that you had.
Oh, the teddy bear. Yes, yes. We kept recasting. Every time we went back, we had a cage there with all our props in, like my dressing gown and my pajamas and things, and my slippers and the things that we'd used before. And every time the teddy was missing, so I had to go and buy a new teddy bear. And on the fourth episode, we had a very nice teddy bear, and I nicked him. I said, "I'm having him," and I raffled him on the radio, a local radio down at County Sound in Guildford.
Hmm.
I went on there live and we raffled him and got 3 figures for him, so it was worth nicking for charity.
Do you have any favourite episodes?
I always like Dear Diary, the one when I was imagining things. I think it's probably series 3. But yeah, no, there a couple which I wasn't very fond of.
Hmm.
There was one which I didn't like, when a young boy was lighting fires or something. It seemed a bit strange, but on the whole, I enjoyed them all, and thought they all worked. And the nice thing is, people say now they still work. It's there's no smut about them. There's nothing that the whole family can't sit down in front of and enjoy.
Yeah.
And you can't do that about an awful lot of things nowadays, can you?
No. Why did it come to an end? Do you think it was a natural ending for the series?
Oh, I think so. I think, yes. 29 episodes. We did 7 fortnights and 1 Christmas episode. I think, yes, that was it. I think it was time to. We could have done something. Those 4 characters, because there was Richard Wilson, of course, the doctor, who was wonderful in that, as he is in everything. So those 4 characters you could have put anywhere and done different things with them. But I think that the hospital had certainly earned its day. We went in there in the spring with the daffodils tossing their sprightly heads in dance outside the window, and we were still there at Christmas. So the chances of all 3 of us still being there with our minor ailments or whatever they are was stretching credibility rather too far, I think.
So obviously it was written by Eric Chappell. It was a fantastic writer. How did you get on with him, and did you get a lot of guidance in terms of your role from him?
We got on immensely well with him. Delightful chap, and his wife, Muriel, lovely. They were there. He was there. Well, they were both there, I think, for every read through and every recording. So we saw them a lot. No, he didn't. Vernon Lawrence was the producer director, and he was in charge of it. And I think maybe occasionally Eric would say to him, "What about that?" But on the whole, he'd written it so well. Vernon knew what he was doing. We knew what we were doing. We just got on and did it.
Yeah. Well, he obviously wrote Rising Damp as well, didn't he, Eric? And he chose you for the role of, because obviously we sadly lost Richard Beckinsale, didn't we? So,
Yeah.
So what happened there? Did he just ask you?
Yeah, my agent phoned up and said, yeah, they need to replace Richard, who I knew well. We were at RADA together. He was a couple of terms above me, but we'd worked together and we were friends, and I knew him pretty well and liked him immensely. And that was compounded when they asked me to do it. I thought, oh dear God. I said, well, somebody's got to do it, so I suppose it might as well be me. But I didn't say whoopee whoopee. I thought, no, somebody's got to do it. Okay. And the sad truth is, as I've said many a time, it wasn't a happy experience. We had a party the night before we started filming at Elstree Studios, and I got there and came into the room, and Leonard Rossiter said, hello, it's you. Well, we know it works so far, so if it goes wrong now, it's your fault.
Right.
That was his greeting. So and it didn't get much better from there, really.
Yeah, I've heard he could be quite a perfectionist. What did you find when you were filming with him?
Yes, he was. He was a very, very fine actor.
Yeah,
knew what he wanted, just not always the nicest person to work with. It was difficult for him too, because he wanted me to play it like Richard would have played it. And I wasn't capable of that because we were different actors. And also I didn't want to do it like Richard had done it exactly, because what's the point? I am me and I wanted to be me, not him. But he kept on saying, oh, why can't you do it like that? I don't know. I've got the lines, I'm giving you the lines, but I'm doing it my way. And he'd say to the lovely director, you're going to let him do it like that? He'd say, yes, I am. So that was going on. So it was the most miserable 4 or 5 weeks of my theatrical experience, really. It was a bad time in our lives because we just had our second daughter and my wife was having the middies. And I went home to her, not being too good. And I was, to my shame, not a very supportive husband. And I said, oh, God, I've got bloody problems. I'm working with Leonard Rossiter. You think you, which was very unkind of me. So no, it's. I'm surprised that I've seen the film a few times, and it works quite well. I don't think I ruined it. That's how nice, but it ain't a happy memory.
Oh, okay. Well, it must be hard just being dropped into like an established cast as a new actor. How did you get the comic timing right? Because obviously your scenes with particularly Francis de la Tour and Don Washington were absolutely brilliant, weren't they? Was it difficult to get into their rhythm?
Not really. I think once you've done sitcom and once you've done Eric and once you knew the way he worked, it was easy to get that right. I mean, I've been acting for quite a few years by then, so by and large, I knew what to do, and hopefully got most of it.
Yeah. So, did you run through it every day? Did you rehearse it before you started filming, or did you just get put
We
onto the
rehearsed
set?
board is what we called it in those days. You get there, you'd walk through it roughly. What do we want to do? Want to do that? You do it there. You get there, and then you stand there and you go, right, that'd be fine. Yes, okay. So you then stand it there to let the cameraman see where you're going to be, and you'd show him, and then you'd say, fine, go away and rehearse if you like, but I'm going to light it. And he would then put the lights where he wanted it to make it work for the camera, and then you'd come back and you'd do it maybe once or twice in front of the camera so that it all worked. Then we go for a take.
Right.
If you're in the studio, it'd be red light and bell, and otherwise it'd be quiet, everyone going for a take, and you record it, and then the first thing they do is check for hair in the gate, because in those days, times you've heard of that, you'd have a problem. Oh, we've got to go again because there's hair in the gate. Some of the celluloid had come off and messed up the scene. Oh no! But the gate is clean, and the director is happy. Jolly good. On to the next scene.
Whereabouts was it filmed on location?
In West London, just round the corner from where's the place? The street market, not Carnaby Street. The antique sort of bit. Where's that?
Brick Lane, is it?
No, the West London. Not that's east.
Oh, sorry, yeah, right.
Notting Hill.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Okay. So, did you socialise after filming on the set there?
No. I went straight home with the baby, and there were long days. I was picked up. A car would come for me about 4:30 in the morning. So it was a long day, and I was glad to get home. And socializing with Leonard was not something I'd want to do. I'm not sure that the others did anyway. They knew each other pretty well. They'd been doing the series for 4 years. So no socializing was out. Just going home to help the missus.
Right, okay. Was Leonard, I don't want to keep dwelling on Leonard, but was he difficult with the other actors as well?
I didn't discuss it with them at all. I get the feeling that Francis and he didn't get on terribly well. I don't know that that's true, but we did a program 3 or 4 years ago called Rising Damp Forever, which discussed a whole lot, but they also discussed the film.
Yeah.
And I was in it and Don was in it, but Francis wasn't. And I thought, oh, I wonder why she isn't in it. Make up your own mind. I'm not saying anything, but he was tetchy with everybody, particularly so with me. But no, difficult question, difficult answer, really. But as I say, I blocked a lot of it out because it wasn't a happy time.
Okay. Well, again, you had great chemistry with Frances, in those where she was sort of coming on to you in the film. That was quite funny, wasn't it? Did you get on with her?
Yeah, she's a delight. A lovely lady, lovely actress. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So you've been on TV many times, obviously, since then. So what was your favourite role after the film? It's been years, I know, but
I suppose my favourite thing on television was a show we did about that time of Raffles, which was Eustace and Hilda, which was a trilogy of books by L.P. Hartley, which we filmed largely up where he lived, and it was set in Hunstanton or Hunston, I think the locals call it, up on the West Norfolk coast, up there, one of the few places where the sun sets. You can see it on the east coast of England. And I'm particularly proud of that. It was nice. Sadly, the BBC seemed to have lost it. I've got bits and pieces of it, and there are some bits. The last bit is on YouTube to be seen, but it was a lovely script, a lovely thing to work with. Susan Fleetwood playing Hilda, and I was Eustace. We had Billy Whitelaw in it, Robert Stevens, Flora Robson. It was a joy to work on. A lovely director called Desmond Davis. And, I was proud of that, and I just wish the BBC had kept it. But in those days, they had all these huge tapes, which they needed to use again in order to save money. So that was that. In the theatre, my most favourite thing ever was playing Ratty in Wind in the Willows, the national production, which we did at the Old Vic. We did that for 6 months. Actually, we did 247 performances of it. Wow. And there wasn't one that I didn't look forward to doing and enjoy, because it was a delight. It was directed by Jeremy Sams, and it was just magic. The wonderful words by dear Alan Bennett. Yeah, that was that. I was proud of that.
Yeah. Obviously, you've been in quite a few things. Victoria Wood, I've seen on TV as well. What was that like to film? Did you still get the same buzz of going on TV again?
Well, I haven't done television for a long time now. I've got health problems, which means I can't actually do work. I do the odd voiceover and things. But, yeah, that was fun. It was just lovely to work with Victoria. I met Victoria at a party a long, long time ago. And she came bouncing up to me and said, "Hello, I think you're lovely." And I said, "Thank you. I think you're lovely too." And that was it, really. But then, cut to later, and they asked me if I'd go along and meet with them for a part in one of her shows. And I went along and met with Victoria was there and the director. And they said, "Would you like to read it?" And I said, "Yes." It was a silly, I don't know if you've seen it, it's called Flatmates. It's I think it's up there on YouTube, I think. A very silly piece. And I said, "Who's going to do the two women then?" And Vicky said, "Well, Deborah Grant is playing that part." I said, "Oh, lovely. I knew Deborah. We were down at Bristol together decades before." And I said, "Who's playing the other part?" She said, "I don't know." I said, "Well, if it's not you, I'm not doing it," I said. "Oh, all right, then I'll play." So she did it, and we had fun. And Duncan Preston, I was at RADA with him too. So we all knew each other, and it was a silly day. She's so missed. She was a wonderful talent and a delightful lady, and I was very, very fond of her. And I wish she was still here.
Yeah. How do you think that TV's sort of evolved from then? Because we've got so many channels now, haven't we? And there doesn't seem to be a lot of money in TV now. There's so many reality shows.
Well, it is. Yes, I despair of a great many things in the way the world is going, but that's one of them. Because, as I was saying, we used to rehearse television, and that's why we had such good plays and things. Now you don't. So the craftsmanship, which is what I went into the business for, to be crafty, just isn't there anymore. And it's pandering to the lower masses, and sadly, it ain't what it was.
Yeah. I especially despair of all the reality shows as well. I mean, it's the ultimate,
Yeah, they can be entertaining. I enjoy some of those. Do you? I think some of them can be very good. Like that Traitors thing. I got hooked on that. I thought that was great fun.
Did you?
Yes. And some of the game shows are very entertaining too. It's nice to have a mixture of things, but we are still getting some good dramas, some very good dramas. Still manages to get through. I don't know how to do it because without that rehearsal period of really exploring it, some of it seems like it has been really rehearsed and is in depth and is well worth watching and wonderful. So there still are things. I mustn't moan too much, but the older I get, the more I despair.
Are there any roles that came up that you couldn't take and you regret now in your career?
There was yes, it's always a feast or a famine as an actor. There are either three things to choose from or none. And there was one occasion when there was a Disney movie I was up for, and another play came in, which was, in fact, I'm trying to put it up on YouTube at the moment. It's called A Crack in the Ice, which had a hell of a cast list, and it was a good piece written by Ronald Eyre. The BBC, of course, have lost it, but I've got it, and I'm trying to put it up there. What was the question?
Any roles that you couldn't take and regret?
Yeah. So then they came through for A Crack in the Ice, and they said, "Sorry, we need a decision now." And I thought, okay, that's going to be good. I'm going with that, and I had to stop the negotiations on the Disney movie, which was difficult because I've always been a huge Disney fan. Indeed, every year we used to go to Disney World for our holidays with the kids. I think we got the only kids in the world. Oh well, not Disney World again, because we loved it so much. And I took the play, and it worked well, but it wasn't the success I had hoped it might be. That was my naivety again, really. I enjoyed doing it, and it was a lovely cast of people. But yeah, I often wonder what doors would have been opened had I done the Disney. C'est la vie.
What about stage roles as well? Are there any that you know, if you could go back in time, any stage roles you'd love to have done?
I always wanted to do a Richard II.
Yeah.
But never got the chance. I just love the poetry of that. I saw Jerry Irons do it. We went and saw him up at Stratford. He did it very, very well. No, then suddenly I was too old to do it anyway, and nobody wanted me to do it, so it didn't really matter. I never really wanted to do a Hamlet. I've done lots of bits of Hamlet when I was at RADA, but I never thought I would have much different to show from other people. But, no, there's not much I hanker after, and I wish I'd done that. Really, I was very lucky. I had a good career and enjoyed it all, and was very fortunate.
Yeah, we've all enjoyed your shows. Are you enjoying your retirement?
Yes, it's nice to be here. I've had a few problems, and 3 years ago, a wonderful cardiologist at Papworth did things for me which I didn't think were possible, and I'm still here. So yes, I'm very, very grateful to him. Pier Luigi Costanzo, wonderful man. So my heart's still ticking, and I'm still ticking. And yes, I'm glad to be here. We have a big family. We've got 4 children and 8 grandchildren.
Wow.
And enjoying that, and enjoying gardening when I can, and traveling when we can. And on a nice day like today, getting out in the garden will be a pleasure.
Well, it's been an amazing chat, Christopher. Thank you so much for taking part in this. We really appreciate it.
Not at all. Great pleasure to meet you, Sean.
You too. Well, thank you.